What's going on, Facebook? TK here with Talk to TK. As I promised you guys, have a special guest on the show, licensed therapist Brittany Dones. Um, she is a new friend of mine, but we've been in communication quite a bit here recently and just bouncing a bunch of ideas back and forth off each other. She has some great insights and great ideas that she wants to talk about to you guys today around mental health. But before I jump into that bio, I just want to say for um, thank you for taking some time out of your evening to spend time with me, to listen to what I have to say, to listen to what Brittany has to say. Mental health is very important. We just came out of Mental Health Awareness Month a couple months ago. And as you guys all know who've been following me, I did a 30-day mental health challenge. And every day I was putting out different things that you guys could be doing to either enhance your mental health or just prepare you for whenever you do go through some challenging times in life, because we all do. It's inevitable. It's a part of life, and we need to find positive ways to respond, positive coping techniques, and just different ways that we can help ourselves and help each other, because self-care is not selfish. So we all need a little bit of self-care. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to be here with me. So my guest here, Brittany Dones, she is actually located in the Houston area. She graduated from Prairie View A&M with a bachelor's in psychology, and then went back for some more education and got her master's in counseling, and she is officially a licensed therapist. Brittany has been practicing for 7 years now, and 12 years in the mental health field specifically. Her passion and the areas of her expertise include working with children and adolescents from abuse and neglected backgrounds, couples experiencing relationship conflicts, providing parental support, and those dealing with grief, loss, and trauma. So we all can relate to one of those categories, if not more, for better or for worse. So she is definitely somebody you can go to if something were to happen and you just need that extra help. Later in the show, we'll get all her information, and I'll make sure that it's out there for everybody to get in touch with her if they so need it. Brittany has also been featured in Voyage Houston magazine, and I will definitely share the link to that article later at the end of the show in the chat, so that everybody can go out and see what she's doing and read that article. It's centered around her Wishing Well counseling services. So it's a great read. I've read it. And so very, very, very fortunate to have her take some time out of her evening to be on the show. She does own her own business, as I just mentioned, called Wishing Well Counseling. And this is a quote from the article. She completely believes in change and has a gift of being able to see her clients objectively, and has a deep embedded passion for helping others. She doesn't just do traditional therapy. She really relates and believes no one is too far gone that she can't reach them. And so with that, I want to welcome Brittany Dones. Brittany, I appreciate you taking time out of your Tuesday evening to be here with me, to be here with the audience, and talk quite a bit about mental health. So I do thank you. How are you doing this evening?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you want to say before we hop into some questions?
No, other than I'm just glad to be here. Like TK said, I'm definitely passionate about mental health. If you've ever had a conversation with me, we've definitely probably touched on mental health in some capacity, or some fashion or form, during our conversation. So like I said, I'm truly an advocate, truly passionate about mental health. And I'm here to help. And I'm, like I said, I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad to be able to provide some type of education or, just conversation.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. So, audience, if at any point in time you have a question, a comment, anything, please drop it in the chat. We are able to see your comments, and we will get to those throughout the show. But so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. So can you just give a broad overview, just explain exactly what is mental health?
Yes. I like to talk about mental health as it is, as it relates to physical health, just because people can understand that better. In physical health, you're able to see. So it kind of just shines a light on it. But like um, mental health, it includes the emotional, physiological, and social well-being of a person. Now, everybody has mental health, and I think that's where it gets confusing because everybody doesn't know that. But everybody has mental health, like everybody has physical health. And if you have, good physical health, you're able to, run for longer periods of times. You're able to jump higher. And those are things that can be measured because you're able to see it. Well, if you have good mental health, it's on a spectrum. So if you have good mental health, then most of the time you're joyous, you're happy. But everybody's mental health is compromised at some time or another, whether that's losing a grandma, then you're grieving, so your mental health is compromised a little bit, and you might not be as happy as you normally would. So that's mental health, and everybody has it. And I think when we talk about mental health, people automatically go straight to mental illness, but that's not what it is. It's just like the same thing with physical health. I might have a cold that compromises my physical health, because guess what? Now I'm a little sluggish because of my cold. I haven't been diagnosed with anything. It's just a common cold, and that affects my physical health. Now, when we get into things like the flu or cancer or whatnot, now that's when when you have been diagnosed and you're ill, you're chronically ill, or with the flu, you do have an illness that is a diagnosis. The same thing with your mental health. I like to think of it when it's compromised, it's something like a common cold. My grandma died, or I just lost my job, or I just got out of a relationship because we broke up. Your mental health can be a little compromised. But when we talk about mental illnesses, those are the actual diagnoses that we have, the bipolar and things like that. And that's when you're not able to get your life, your life has been shaken to a point where you're not able to carry out the normal daily functions that you once were able to. And so that's the difference. And I like to, like I said, relate that to physical health just to make it a little easier. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So I don't even think I realized that mental health and mental illness were not synonymous, but we as a group, as a culture, as society, we use them synonymously. So I really like how you broke that down. Mental health is more of just like a temporary event that has occurred, and you're a little shaken by it, but you can still shake back as time goes on. Whereas mental illness is you are shaken to the core, and where it is that much more challenging for you to actually get back to what is your normal state of life. So just doing simple things like getting out of bed can be a challenge when you have a mental illness versus when you have a mental health thing. You're still able to probably get out of bed and make breakfast, but you're still maybe sad because you're grieving versus I don't even have the energy, or my mind tells me I don't have the energy to get out of bed and make breakfast, which is the difference between health and illness. So thank you for differentiating that, because I don't even think I really realized that, which is a great segue into the next question. What is technically the proper way of using these terms, which you've sort of broken down already between mental health and illness, but then there's like disease and symptoms. Do I say I'm suffering from severe depression, or do I just have severe depression? Like, how do you really have those conversations and say those types of things?
Well, I think it depends, but even in that, if we look at it outside of mental health, and then I'll dive back into the mental health piece. If we look at someone who is like a special education student, or she's an addict, or he's bipolar, or he's a paranoid schizophrenic, you really want to stay away from the label coming before the person, and that's just the way you put the person first. So basically you say he's a student receiving special education services. She has a substance use disorder. If we're talking about an addict, he has bipolar, he has this, you know what I mean? Because you're putting first, and you want to separate the two, because they're more than their disability, they're more than their diagnosis, they're more than so that's how I always think about it. So you put the person first.
Put the person first. Okay, yeah, no, that's great. So I am struggling with severe depression versus severe depression defines me, kind of.
Right. Or like she, other than, and even when people are talking about you, or she's depressed. No, she's a person who's dealing with depression. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so person first. And I remember when I was in I went to Cancun in it was either late October or November of last year, and we went to a hospital for children with disabilities, and they were talking a little bit around this topic of it's the person first, and then it's what it is that they're dealing with, because sort of like you were saying, it's not who they are.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
sort of like the athlete thing. You play basketball, but it's not your everything. Like you are a person, you are an athlete who plays basketball. You're an athlete
Yeah.
who plays football. And so it reminded me of that same concept when we went to the hospital with these children with disabilities. And it was very eye-opening because that was the first time I had ever seen it phrased that way, because it's just not how generally it's been spoken about across society. So it's great that you're breaking that down, and it's great that you're clarifying the proper way to use those terms and the proper way to have those types of conversations. So everybody's in this COVID-19 pandemic. Everybody's quarantined and forced to wear masks and all of that, fun stuff. As you're practicing, because I know before we hopped on, you were talking about how you were doing your services through telecommunication and things like that. You could still provide the services that people need, but you're just doing it from the computer, obviously, for health reasons and all that good stuff. Have you seen an uptick in any specific types of mental health issues since COVID-19 and quarantine has been strongly enforced?
Man, yes, it has been unbelievable. It really has. And I don't think people understand, like, because if you're not really in mental health, you just go on about your daily life with it. You're just not something that you think about. But when I tell you that it's unbelievably so many more clients during this time, so many more people looking for help, so many kids are just, I mean, literally just today, kids today wanting to attempt and complete suicide because they haven't been to school. I mean, those are their words. I'm so bored, and they don't know, they just don't know. And so to hear them express that they just want to go to school is just, amazing, because, normally we think kids don't want to be in school. It's when you're forced to be, secluded, and you can't really do the things that you're used to doing and having fun and going to different functions with your family and just socially. Humans are just social beings in general, and just socially, just being able to talk to someone face to face in person and share space with someone is a big deal now. And so it breaks my heart that these kids especially, but adults as well have the same thing. The same thing with the suicide. They're just like, I'm losing my job. I've lost my job, and I don't know where to turn. Like, there's nothing left for me to live for. And so it's been unbelievable. It really breaks my heart. It's been a lot of people reaching out to me lately, and I just try to help, the best I can.
Right. So how do you talk them through that so that they realize that this is like a temporary thing? It's not lasting forever. Like, it's great that kids do want to be in school and learning, but suicide is definitely not the answer. For anybody who knows, I've been there. It's not the answer. It really isn't. And so how do you help them through those types of conversations as they're coming to you and saying, oh my gosh, this, I want to kill myself because of this reason, because of that reason? How do you help them through that?
What I normally do is I try to bring it back to the present. I always bring the parents in for those, those uncomfortable talks, because sometimes the parents don't know how to have those talks. But I definitely give the parents resources. I bring the parents in. We have a talk about just being in the present, because that's all we can do right now is be in the present. And I let the parents know of different activities that can be done at home, because kids aren't really, even though,
Oh wait, hold on, Brittany. I'm gonna have to pause you. You're okay, folks. I don't know. Maybe it's just me having technical difficulties. Brittany, if you can hear me, I'm gonna pause you really quick. I can no longer hear you, so I'm gonna have you start over your answer from about when you bring the parents in and you tell them different activities that they can do because kids, and that's where
kids aren't really hard to please. So if you do different things at home that can kind of where you're able to just interact with your child, because we're all we have, and since we're quarantined, I just encourage the parents to do like painting activities, or just different activities at home, like that they might do at school but might not. It doesn't have to be school related, but like painting activities, different board games, just going outside, jumping in the sprinklers if that's accessible. Just small things that really keep them, even with my kids being here. I mean, those are some of the things that we've been doing and they just love it. Just finished playing Uno. Yesterday was water day, and we do tic-tac-toe, and we do painting in the garage, and just a lot of those different types of things to keep them active, because the video games aren't gonna just keep them engaged for long enough. My kids love video games too, and it's just not enough. So I really try to just get them involved, and eat walks with the dog and stuff like that.
It sounds like you're trying to get them to be like the kids in the 90s, like when I grew up, who
Right.
They were outside all the time.
Yeah.
They were like, I had to be in the house by the time the street lights came on, or I was going to get in trouble.
Right.
But I mean, outside, you're playing board games, you're playing in the yard, you're playing tag. I mean, granted, don't go play tag, people, but I'm saying you're doing activities where you're out and you're active, and you're not just sitting inside of four walls.
Yes.
You have game night. Like, I know that my aunt and her family, I swear, every time I call them, they're playing Phase 10. My aunt, my uncle, and they have an 18-year-old daughter, and they're always playing Phase 10 and just doing different activities like that engages the kids, that engages the parents, and it just gives them a little bit of hope, something to laugh, something to do that's different from the monotony of sitting in these four walls. Because yes, it can get hard, but it is hard to especially be in the summertime and you can't be with your friends. Like, that's the one time where you can be with your friends all day if you really want to. Like, we get it, we understand it's hard, but you have to remember, in the 90s and before the 90s, video games were not the thing.
Right.
Cell phones didn't exist, and I'm gonna take that back. Cell phones did exist, but you had to, the kids didn't have them. It was like one phone per house, and the parents had them, or no one had it. The internet was dial up.
Right. You couldn't talk before 9 o'clock on the cell phone.
Right. And then when you got into the 2000s, it was like, oh, let me call you after 9 when my minutes are free. Like, so kids, all the young ones out there, the people who are in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, like, and beyond, like, we understand what you're going through, but we don't, because we didn't even have this technology when we were your age. So it was a very different time. So I like the idea of getting the parents involved, because the parents know what it was like to not have these things and to not be able to see your friends all the time. So they have the ideas of how to engage their kids and engage the family, and do things that are fun and active, and provide laughter and all of that stuff. So I think that's great. I know, I mean, I walk my dog every day, and it's like the highlight of my day, and I'm like very intentional about not bringing my cell phone, because I want to spend time with her. And I mean, we only can play fetch in the house so much before she's like, all right, let's do something else. But I'm just saying, like, I'm very intentional about making sure that I spend my time with her when we're walking, just up and down in the cul-de-sac or whatever. So We do have a question. Um, how do you go about negative coping mechanisms? For example, like people who are heavy drinkers or into drugs, substance abuse, things like that. Um, like the people are using to feel better. What are suggestions to curb those and find better, more constructive mechanisms?
That's a good one. So what I will say, a couple of things. It is substance abuse is tricky. Just because it depends on how much you're, if you have a disorder, um, like if you're using every day to fill a void and to cope, or if you're using every once in a while to cope. Um, if you're using every day, I would definitely say, um, like NAAA meetings are really good to get a sponsor for sure. Once you get a sponsor, other people have found it, well, statistically, even um, like rehabs where you go and you check yourself in have shown to be really beneficial. Um, Also, but if we're just talking from like uh, therapy, somebody coming to see me, like I tell my clients with substance use disorders, the only thing you have to change about with substance use, and I say this with all sincerity, is everything. The only thing you have to change is everything, because um that substance use, filling voids and using it for coping skills, one of the therapy modalities that a lot of therapists use is cognitive behavioral therapy, right? So when people have substance use disorder or using substances to cope, it is because they're triggered by something in their environment, and then they use because the trigger, it doesn't feel good, and they want to feel good. That's the main reason of using substance. You want to feel good because you're feeling bad. And and the reason why they say you have to change everything, the only thing you have to change is everything, is because you have to change your people, the places, the things that you're around, because a smell can trigger you to want to drink. A sound can trigger you to want to smoke, and so but going back to the cognitive behavioral therapy, basically what cognitive behavioral therapy is you change your thought and then you change your behavior. So you have to kind of reprogram yourself to um pay attention, because we have like over 30,000 thoughts a day. So you have to be so intentional to listen to, or to be aware rather, of what your thoughts are that trigger you to want to go drink or to go smoke or to shoot up, or whatever your choice of drug is, um your drug of choice or whatever. So you have to be very intentional to change that thought so that you can then change your behavior. Now, it is that's very, it's easier said than done, and that's
Mhm.
very simple. It's very simple in the way that I put it, but it's not easy,
Mhm.
and that's what I tell people. It's simple, but it's not easy. So it takes a lot of hard work to be able to do that, because even those of us that don't have substance use disorders, if we even think about changing our thoughts to some automatic, because it becomes automatic over time, because it didn't take you overnight to become a person that uses substances. So don't rush yourself and put a lot of pressure on yourself, and have compassion for yourself, because it's definitely not going to take you overnight to just stop it. You know what I mean? So we want to celebrate small wins. If today is the day that you have are able to change your thoughts and change your behaviors, just for, or if you're a person that uses every day, every hour on the hour, and you made it 1 hour without using for this day, you have to celebrate that small win.
Mhm.
But you also want to have the support system behind you, because a lot of substance users and abusers, in their lives are in a turmoil, because they've lost a lot of things, because of because depending on your addiction, you begin to squander off your money. You start using all your money on drugs to feel better, and it's all to feel better. And so you have to build back your support system, and that's why NAAA, getting a sponsor, checking into rehab, those things help you build a sober networking support system. So those are just a couple of things. Of course, I could talk about it all day and go deeper, but that's just the basic. Those are some basic things that someone can
So,
do.
in this time, so it sounds like what you're saying is, yes, you have to be intentional about your thoughts, but it's also that trigger that makes you want to smoke, drink, whatever your choice is. And it's a matter of knowing what that trigger is and then basically rewriting your habit loop, because we as humans like to be in like to do things, and like it's a habit to do this. It's in a routine, it's automatic. We don't have to think, and that makes us take those 30,000 some decisions that we make in a day down to 10,000 because it's just on autopilot. So what I hear you saying is you need to essentially rewrite your habit loop, which is you have the trigger, or you have the cue, which is like, oh, cue, trigger, same thing. I'm hungry. So you go and you do an action, and then you get the reward for doing that action, and then you just kind of stay in that circle, and there's no off ramp. And so identifying what triggers you to want to even drink or smoke or whatever, and then getting to the root of why you, even before that, like why does this even trigger you to want to drink or smoke? And that's where I think you're getting at with the AA and NA and the support system, because they're going to help you tackle why you're even getting to the point where this trigger makes you want to drink. They're going to tackle that, whereas you're really working on the action part of it. So I would imagine that if you drink daily, I would imagine one of the first things you want to do is probably get all the alcohol out your house. That's probably a good step. I don't know if that is the best route, like purge yourself completely. But to me, logically, that is something that as an alcoholic, I need to get all of it out of my house. So I have to drive all the way to the store to get more alcohol. Do I really want to do that?
Exactly. And like you said, humans are creatures of habit. So if every day when I get off work, I get a beer or a couple 10 beers, then after I need to do something else. You know what I mean? I have to change my routine so that that's not something that I do. I have to, like you said, you said it perfectly. That's exactly how it is, and digging into the why. A lot of almost 90% of substance use disorders and people that really use substances, it's trauma, it's childhood trauma or just trauma in general, even adulthood trauma. It's trauma. You want to feel better. And it's not even a conscious thing where you're like, man, I was physically abused when I was younger. So now, because I'm physically abused, I'm going to drink. It's not that. It's not conscious like that. It's more like there's these feelings of like resentment because you weren't protected. There are these feelings of hurt because, it happened to you. There's these feelings of shame because why doesn't this type of stuff happen to anybody else type of thing? You know what I mean? And so then they begin to play out over time in your life. So it's 90% trauma. So you have to dig deep and really address the trauma part first. And this all comes about in therapy. And then when we're doing therapy one-on-one, you'll have a support being the AA and NA groups. So then we're incorporating those into your sessions, and it's unbelievable, amazing results, because things we're peeling back layers that you're not conscious of this. You know what I mean? So.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. It reminds me of a book that I read earlier this year called 13 Things Mentally Strong. 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. And it just kind of cycles through different categories of what you have to do to be mentally strong. Like, you can't feel sorry for yourself. You can't, keep making the same mistakes over and over and things like that. And I know as I started to fall into severe depression, feeling sorry for myself was probably one of the top things that happened to me, because I kept replaying certain instances in my life in the past that I have no control over and over and over. And that became my present. Something that happened a year ago became my present. And I focused on it so much. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm in therapy because of all of these detrimental things that I have done to myself. And I've struggled with alcoholism.
Mhm.
I've struggled with cutting. I've struggled with a lot of these things. And so I get it, and it makes so much sense. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I'm 100% healed. Yay, me. No, I still battle with that every single day. But through therapy, through rehab, all of these things, I've learned a lot more coping techniques that have helped me. So when I get back into that space, because I do at times get back into those spaces, I go to a more positive coping skill instead of cutting. Or
Yes.
just drinking my problems away and then realizing that when I wake up hungover,
There's still
the problems are still here. I didn't solve them. I just, avoided them.
avoided them for the moment. Yeah, that's awesome.
So another question here, any suggestions for healthcare workers? We are really feeling like no one is really considering our mental health. So what do you got?
Yeah. So I feel you. I'm in the same boat. It's just like we've just been, grinding, and a lot of people have, as far as especially the healthcare workers that are on the front lines, the social workers, the, just there's just so many people that are still working, and we're all grateful to still have our jobs, but it can take a toll. But the suggestion that I have for the people that are still working, healthcare workers, especially, is to is therapy, at this time, because it doesn't seem like it's gonna let up, and there seem like the more they're requiring, more of, the workers, they're requiring more of you, and needing you more. And the first thing that I can think of is therapy, at least, as much as you feel that you need, so that you can just talk to somebody to, it's excruciating working long 12-hour shifts or so, like I know that some of these health workers do, to save people's lives, and out of passion, because they love to do what they do. But you have to take care of yourself. Like TK was saying, self-care is not selfish. You definitely have to take care of yourself during this pandemic, for sure.
Okay, so your therapy, I know that something that has helped me through tough times is, yes, talking about it does help, but talking about it to someone who is, one, not going to judge you for how you feel, allow you to express yourself and get those emotions, whether it's frustration, anger, rage. It could be happy things, like just getting these emotions out in the way that you want to get them out, with no judgment, no questions, none of that. Because sometimes that in and of itself can help a lot. But something else that I know has helped people is journaling,
Yeah, I was just about to say,
painting, putting together puzzles, doing things that are like monotonous, but you don't really have to think a whole lot, because it just kind of like flows out of your body. I used to be like that with, like, I shoot archery. I have my own bow and arrow, my own setup, all of that stuff. And there would be times where I would just be one with the arrow, and the bullseye would be whatever I'm angry at. And I would just pull the arrow out the quiver, pull back, and just shoot. And for whatever reason, every time I let an arrow go, it was me releasing another percent of anger or frustration or whatever. And when it hit the bullseye, it was like, okay, now it's gone. And so finding those are things that have worked for me, but finding those activities that allow you to decompress and allow you to get out whatever it is you're feeling.
Yes.
Because like Brittany said, I don't see COVID going away in the next month.
Right.
And so it is going to be an uptick in work. And like my aunt, she works in infectious control. So she is not having the time of her life at work right now at a hospital. So she works in the hospital. I know Tisha works in the hospital too. So like she's not having the time of her life right now. But I do want to just say, shout out, thank you to all the healthcare workers who are on the front lines in the hospitals, in the ERs, whether it's fire department, police. It doesn't matter. Anybody who's in healthcare on the front lines dealing with this COVID pandemic head on, face to face. Thank you so much, because I know it's crazy. I know it's hard, but I genuinely thank you
Appreciate
for your service
Yeah.
and what you're doing.
And also, Tisha, you could maybe look into like yoga, like at home yoga, like doing some yoga with YouTube, journaling, like TK said, some exercising, just even if it's in your neighborhood, walking or light jog or something. But yeah, those are good. Those are good.
So I know we've been talking pretty seriously here, so I'm gonna break up some of this seriousness, and I'm gonna hit you with some fast questions here.
Okay.
We're gonna play a little bit of Would You Rather.
All right.
All right, cool. Audience, feel free to play along. Drop your answers in the chat. We're just gonna have a little fun here. Would you rather be slightly late or super early?
I would rather be super early.
Yeah, I'm super early. I'm
Okay.
Would you rather explore space or the ocean?
The ocean.
Oh no. Me and water are not friends.
Really?
At all.
And I love going in the ocean.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going to space. Would you rather have a cook or a maid?
I'd rather have a maid.
I'd rather have a cook. I can cook, but I hate everything about it.
Yeah.
Would you rather hear the good news or the bad news first?
I would rather hear the good news first.
Okay. See, I was a little torn. Like, man, if I hear the bad news, it's not going to make the good news as good as it should be.
Right.
But if I hear the bad news first, at least I have something to look forward to that's not going to bring me down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with good news.
Yeah.
Would you rather date someone you met online or go on a blind date?
Online.
Yeah. I might have to say online because there's a higher probability I might be able to find out some more stuff about them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get dressed, you're going on a date. Okay. Would you rather never read another book or never watch another movie?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm gonna say I would rather never watch another movie.
Oh, it is hard, but I love movies, man. Like, I love movies. So I'm gonna have to say I'd rather never read another book.
Yeah.
And most of the times they turn books into movies. They don't really turn movies into books.
Dang. Yeah, true.
All right, here's some random questions. We're gonna do a couple more of these and then we'll get back into some mental health stuff. What was the last foreign country you visited?
Jamaica.
Nice. I was in Mexico. Which season fits your personality?
Ooh, spring.
Spring. I'm probably gonna say fall. It's pretty chill in the fall.
Yeah.
All right, last one. What is your guilty pleasure?
What is my guilty pleasure? I have two. I love ice cream, so I like eat ice cream like all times in the night. And then I love to I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure, but I love to play video games, so I'll play like all night too. So
so you play video games and eat ice cream all night.
Ice cream all night.
Mine is I could eat the nugget ice all day, every day. I would go out of my way to get nugget ice.
Really?
Seriously, like I have some in my room in a cup. Like I had some from earlier today. I haven't finished it yet, and I cannot wait to get through it. I eat it every single day. The nugget ice.
That's funny.
So good. I'm going to hop back into some questions here again. If you're just joining us, feel free to drop any questions that you may have into the chat, and we will definitely make sure to get to them before we sign off here. So these questions, when wanting to reach out and help a friend, or if a friend comes to us and confides in us, what types of questions should we be asking that can help facilitate the conversation? And I ask this because there isn't anything worse than someone saying, I need to talk to you, and they just drop something super deep, in the conversation, and you have nothing to say, or you don't ask the right questions, and then boom, they just shut down and say, forget it, I don't want to talk about it anymore, and then you can't get them to open back up. So how does that look?
So for me, like I said, I would say be sensitive but direct, be compassionate, non-judgmental, and listen. But if you're trying to find out something, like I said, be direct, and you kind of just ask, like, I've noticed, you want to use I statements and just put it on yourself and be like, I've noticed you blank, I've noticed you sleeping more, I've noticed you eating less, I've noticed you being withdrawn. Is everything okay? How can I best support you right now? Is there anything you need? And those are just really warm questions that, know.
Oh, I'm losing you again. Hold on.
Like, you're not really prime. Notice the change. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I can hear you now. I lost you. I don't know if everybody else lost you, but the last thing I heard you say was being compassionate and using I statements. Can I help you? Is there anything that I can do for you? Things like that.
Yeah, I've noticed you sleeping more. I've noticed you eating less, and how can I be of support? How can I best support you right now? And I think that just opens it up to let them know that you're not really prying, but that you're there for them, because people just want to know that people are there to listen to them, or to help them. And a lot of times we feel like people like we want to help people how we think that they should be helped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when you ask, and I support you, it allows them to let you know what you can do for them, whether that be, hey, yeah, I am kind of down today. Can you support me by, just giving me a phone call on Mondays after, whatever. And, if you can, then you can. And, just to be there for your friend. And I think it's really, because it's really a hard conversation when it comes to mental health, and in this day and age, people don't want to step on people's toes and get in business. So I think that's just the best way to go about it.
Okay. Yeah, and I asked that just because I know that as someone who has struggled before and has been in that situation, I know that I've made it a point to say, hey, I'm coming to you, and I don't need any advice. I don't need any problem solving. I just want you to listen. And as the person delivering whatever it is I'm trying to open up about, I've been upfront with what I expect from the other person. And sometimes that helps. And sometimes, like, naturally, we want to solve problems as humans.
Yeah.
We solve problems. And then it just goes out the window, and they're like, screw that. I'm answering the question, and I'm going to help you solve this. And I'm like, all right, I'm over it. And I just I'm done. So, I like what you said, just listening and making sure that they know that they're free to talk. Sometimes just letting them talk. Like, I've been on the phone and I just put myself on mute and just allowed them to just get everything out, because I know I'll say something and it'll throw their train of thought off. So I mute myself so I can still say what I have to say, but they can still keep talking to get everything out, and just being that active listener. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so some of your answer kind of led into this, but when you start noticing friends or family members that are struggling in some way, shape, or form, whether they're all of a sudden just really angry all the time, or they're really upset, or just really sad, withdrawn, things like that, how do you go about approaching them? Because I feel like how do you just bring it up without making it seem like you're trying to diagnose them or something like that. Because I know there are times when people see signs, but they don't necessarily know how to approach the person. And I feel like that can be just as detrimental as, or maybe worse, as not seeing the signs at all. Like, and so
Right.
to me, that looks a little bit different than somebody willingly opening up.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that look? How does that conversation? How do you approach someone in that aspect?
Well, if you see somebody's mental health is compromised and they might be struggling, like I was saying earlier, just using the number one thing for me is using the I statements. And
Okay.
because what that does is you're letting them know what you've noticed. You know what I mean? It's not like beating around the bush, but it's not very it's not harsh at all. And it's just you letting them know, hey, I've noticed that, you haven't been around as much. I've noticed that, you haven't been really eating. I've noticed that you've been sleeping so much. Like, you know, is everything okay? Because it's really genuinely heartfelt, and it's showing that you're really concerned about them without being like, hey, you're not eating. And they say that when people don't eat, then that's like you might be depressed or something. It kind of,
That looks
off.
different.
Yeah, it looks different. It's off-putting for somebody to be like, you're depressed, and and you could be, but it's just not. It's just more warm for to say the things that you notice, and give them the opportunity to let what's going on, or with
Right.
them.
So you're still leaving it open to them, but you're just letting them know, like, hey, I've noticed some changes in your patterns in your normal everyday.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure you're all right. Okay, no, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Um, so something that I know that I'm being a little selfish here with my question, but that's okay. Something that I've noticed in my own personal experience, like I've mentioned before, plenty of times, like I do have severe depression, and it's not a big secret, but there are certain like generic phrases or insinuations that just don't sit well with me when I
Mm-hmm.
do finally start to open up and let people in, or let a person in. I shouldn't say people because I'm very particular about that, but that's another
Right.
issue I'm working on.
Right.
But anyways,
Right.
is that type of thing common? So like, for example, um, if I'm opening up and you say you'll be strong, or you'll be all right, or just get over
Yep.
it, or
Yep.
and it's kind of like, well, dude, if I could just get over
Good.
it,
Then
I
I would.
would. But my
Exactly.
brain is not functioning like that. So just get over it is not gonna work. So then I actually end up getting more upset
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm over it. And I shut down completely. And I,
Yeah.
and I know that's not necessarily the best way to go about it, but I know there are certain phrases that just
Oh yeah.
set me off. So is
And it's
that common, or like, what types of responses should we be providing to people when they do reach out, instead of just kind of like having these dismissive phrases or whatnot?
So it's very common. People say things like that all the time. You have to. I always encourage people to veer away from things. That negative slang, nuts. This is nuts. This is psycho. It's all in your head. Come on, things could be worse. Snap out of it. God's got a plan. You have a great life. You seem so happy. Yeah, that is not. It's not okay. Things that we should be saying is along the lines of the first question, like support is really big. I'm really big on support. I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm a phone call away. Let me know if you need anything. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. You want to check on if you see those things, you want to check on your friends, once a week. You don't have to be overcompensate or be excessive. You want to, ask them. You want to really ask them, like, how you normally would. Don't make things awkward. Just,
Yeah.
how's your day? How was your day at work? And let them know you're there. Like I said, include your friend in on your plans, even if your friend doesn't always come. They'll probably more than likely appreciate just being included, even if they don't come. Because it shows that you thought about them. You more intentional about inviting them because you wanted them there. Um, so those are some of the things that I always encourage people.
Okay. something that you said in your answer was about checking up on your friends, and doing it like on a weekly basis, especially if you know someone is struggling. Um, that is so important because you don't ever want to feel like you're forgotten,
Yes.
or it's like, oh, well, I've opened up and now everyone's shunning me. Like, you never want to have that feeling as someone who's going through something. So I thought that was pretty important about checking in, but not making it awkward,
Yeah.
allowing it to be natural, and being almost specific with, hey, I'm just checking on you. How was your day at work? Or just simply saying, hey, I'm going to get dinner here. Do you want to join? Even if they say no,
Mm-hmm.
there's something in the human brain that's like, oh, well, at least they thought about me. Even if I
Yeah.
declined 800 times, they
Yes.
still thought about me 800 times. Type
Exactly.
thing.
For sure.
So it makes you not feel alone. So that makes really that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about mental health, and you've answered a lot of questions that the audience have had, that I've had. So what I want to give you some time now is to tell the audience about Wishing Well Counseling. So if this is all you, whatever you want to say about Wishing Well Counseling, it's all on you.
Well, I don't really have a lot to say about it, but Wishing Well Counseling is my private practice. I see all ages, kids, adolescents, adults. I work with all disorders. I really enjoy working with the kids because I feel like that's where it starts, um, because the kids become adults. And so I like to really work and have them express their feelings, have them, uh, teach them different coping skills so that they'll be able to, because they're going to always remember that and be able to use it when they're older, to cope and express themselves when they're older, hopefully. And then with the kids, I like to get their parents involved. It's a really, like I was telling TK, I'm really passionate about that. But Wishing Well Counseling is my private practice, and basically I see all ages. I'm here in Houston, but with telecommunication, I can see anybody all over Texas, so nobody is too far away. Um, I do have social media pages, Instagram. My name is B Dones LPC. Um, it's my first initial last name followed by the letters LPC. I'm also on Facebook. I also have a website that's under construction, but it's up for the most part. But the website is lifesheartwork.com. Um, and Life's Heart Work is just it's an overall. It's an umbrella, and Wishing Well, my counseling private practice is under the umbrella. Life's Heart Work is just a mental health. I'm gonna have a lot of different things. I do consultations under Life's Heart Work. Um, I'm trying to get some other things started with like podcasts and different mental health tours. And so you'll see me and TK hopefully in the future doing some things together, some really big things with mental health. I really think she's awesome. So,
Thank you.
I, yeah, so we're going to get some things going. Um,
I put your website, I don't mean to cut you off, but I put your website up. Is that correct? Lifesheartwork.com?
yep, you got
Okay,
it. Yep,
cool.
lifestyle.com. So you guys can contact me any way that you can, especially social media is fine. I also have I'm gonna have to the number that I use to my other phone. I should have had it, but I forgot it. So
No
uh
worries.
yeah, so cause but anyways, so I'll get that to you guys as well. A lot of people hit me up on social media, and if they just have like a quick question about anything, I always answer. I never leave a question unanswered. I've helped people all over the United States asking all types of things, connecting them to resources in states that I don't even live in. So don't ever feel like you're alone, because I genuinely answer every question that comes through my inbox, and that's a lot of people, and I connect people to resources that they might not have known themselves. um so uh with that being said, I do that. um I also, what else we doing? I'm also over like a juvenile probation type of thing. I do therapy with kids that are on probation, that have experienced trauma early in life. And I really enjoy doing that as well. This work, I will say, it's very heavy, but very fulfilling, very rewarding. I love to help people. It is very heavy because, to have empathy for so many individuals throughout the day that, I mean, have gone through things that I can't even fathom in my own mind. It's a lot. It takes a lot of energy. And I walk it like I talk it. I make sure that I check in with for therapy for myself, not in the capacity of anything's wrong, but I just want to make sure that I'm well enough to handle what's being uh put placed before me, and this passion that I have to make sure that I'm well enough for you guys. So like I said, I walk it like I talk it, and that's what I do. So I hope you guys will, stay well and don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Well, I genuinely appreciate your time. I enjoyed it. I hope the audience enjoyed it. I have a lot of comments coming in about different things that people should be looking for, signs and symptoms of depression. Different phrases have been placed in the comments that are just kind of like, probably should stay away from these phrases. Just a lot of different things that we've touched upon have been dropped in these comments, and they'll definitely be here as the conversation continues after we get off this live segment. But Brittany, I do want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your answers. They've all been helpful to me, helpful to the audience, I hope. So we definitely are going to do this again. We're definitely going to have more stuff coming in the near future for sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
We're gonna before we completely sign off, I have a few more questions for you. Can't let you get away without these.
Yeah.
Okay, so audience, feel free to play. We're gonna do something fun before we just log off here. But which celebrity do you shamelessly follow in the news?
Ooh. In the news. Well, she's not in the news currently, but I definitely follow Beyonce. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna Harry Styles from One Direction. Love him. Have both his albums. Can't wait to go to a concert. Anyways. What's your favorite quote?
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that is a good one. Favorite quote. Ooh, so many of them, and now I can't even think of anything.
All of them as soon as I asked the question, huh?
Right. They all left. I don't know.
We can circle back if you need to.
Yeah, because they're not coming to me.
Okay, that's cool. Keep that in the back of your mind. If you could only have 5 apps on your phone, what would they be?
Ooh, these are good questions. Like, man, 5 apps. What do I use the most? I use what's his name? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, the guy that does Financial Peace University, I forgot his name.
Oh, Dave Ramsey?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey. I have his app, so I like that budget app. I have
Every
Facebook.
dollar. I have that app.
Yeah, every dollar. Yeah, the green app. I like the Facebook app. The Facebook app, every dollar.
All right, I'll make you answer only 3 then.
Yeah, and then hold on, let me pull my screen down and see what I use. Let me see.
I'll tell you mine while she's looking for hers. Every dollar, my habit tracker, it's called Way of Life. And probably, I'm going to regret saying this, but my email app. I could actually live without text messaging. But my email app. Those are probably the 3 that I'm just like, I need.
Yeah, so in mine, I have the Facebook, the Every Dollar. I have the Safari and the email app on my the recents. Yeah. So I'll go with those.
Legit. If you could pick up one skill instantly, what would it be?
Oh, to sing.
To sing. Mine is play the guitar.
Really?
Yeah. I've tried multiple times and I still can't play the guitar.
That's funny. Even with like YouTube or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no, I still can't play the guitar.
That's funny.
If you could switch places with one of your friends for a day, who would it be?
Man. Man, I don't know. Man, these are hard. Probably one of my friends that's a journalist that lives in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have to say I have a friend who I played basketball with. She's from Walla Walla, Washington.
Uh-huh.
And just because it's called Walla Walla, Washington, I'd switch places with her just so I could go be in Walla Walla, Washington for one day.
I've heard of that place too.
Yes.
I don't remember who I know from there, but I've heard of it. That's pretty cool.
Jen Keys, we called her Walla Walla. Her real name did not matter after we found out where she was from. If you could create one holiday, what would you create?
Oh my gosh. A holiday. I don't know. I'll let you go first. I'm not sure.
I could create a holiday. So for the record, I only looked at these to see what I would ask, and then I didn't like pre-plan any of my answers because I still have no idea what holiday I would create. Mine
would probably be like a mental health holiday. You know how like people gotta like try to sneak off work or be like, I need some mental health time. Some type of mental health holiday where it's like a known national thing where it's like everybody's
off for mental health. Oh, that's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's legit. Okay, well, I love the Olympics. I take off every year for the Olympics, the whole 2 weeks, so I can watch the Olympics. And I'm very sad that I did not get to watch the Olympics this year. Well, I'm not going to get to watch the Olympics this year because it would be coming up at the end of this month and going in August. So I would make the Olympics a holiday, but we would have to have it more often because 4 years is not enough for a holiday. Right. But I would make the Olympics, like everyone's off for the Olympics. You get 2 weeks paid time off to watch the Olympics, and you have to watch the Olympics.
You can't do anything else.
You can't do anything else. Just watch the Olympics.
Right.
All right. So we're back to what's your favorite quote? And that's all I got.
Dang, man. I don't know. I'm still wrong. It's like, you know how you eat when you can't get it right? I'm trying to think of the quote. Everybody probably knows it. It's the I know who said it. It's the Steve Jobs quote about the because I have the tattoo, but it's the Steve Jobs quote about the something about the only crazy people in the world. I mean, the craziest people in the world are the ones who I forgot. I'm gonna butcher the quote, and I forgot what it's about though. But
we'll find it, and I'll drop it in the chat because I'm curious to know what it is, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it fast enough. Steve Jobs quote.
Yeah, sure. It's like huge. It's a huge quote. You'll be able to find it. It's like
people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Yeah. Yep.
That one.
That's one of my. Yeah, that's it.
There was some longer.
No, that's
there, but okay. That's a good one. My quote is, I've been saying this a lot lately, but if your dreams are bigger than that of your friends, your life should look different.
That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you. So that's all we got, folks. Brittany, again, thank you so much for spending time with me, getting on here and sharing all that you shared about mental health and giving people, especially in Texas, another resource to reach out to. So thank you everyone who joined and contributed in the comment section, everyone who took time out of their evening to be here with me. I'll be back here next week. next Tuesday at 7:30 with a new topic for you. And also this Thursday starts office hours. So if you have any more questions that you have around mental health, or if you have other questions about things that I've talked about in the past, or just anything really related to mental performance, mindset, mental health, shoot me an email. I'll drop my email in the comment section, and I will get you signed up for office hours, and I will get that information to you. It'll be Thursday evening at 7 is when we will do our first office hours. So it'll be on Zoom, so it'll be a lot more private and intimate, not on Facebook Live or anything like that. So I'll get that information out as you guys send me that you want to be a part of it. But again, thank you very much, everybody, and I hope that you guys have a great night.
Yep. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Bye.